Coming up, Super Tuesday results move President Biden and former President Trump closer to a November rematch.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Donald Trump is celebrating a near sweep so far on Super Tuesday, although Nikki Haley did score a surprise victory in Vermont. Trump won big in our neighboring states of Virginia and Tennessee, and it appears we are closer than ever to a rematch in November between President Biden and former President Trump. CBS's Danya Backus begins our coverage from California.
Former President Donald Trump moves closer to becoming the Republican presidential nominee with projected wins in a number of states holding primaries this Super Tuesday.
They call it Super Tuesday for a reason. This is a big one.
President Biden is also the projected winner in contest on the Democratic side as the race shifts towards the general election.
Joe Biden better win. All right. I mean, I think the country, there's an awful lot at stake.
Donald Trump has the answers. We need him.
Voters in more than a dozen states cast their ballots, with more than a third of delegates up for grabs. While Trump and Biden are clear frontrunners, neither can clinch the nomination this Super Tuesday. CBS News exit polls show immigration and the economy are the top issues on Republican voters' minds.
I'm going to vote for anybody who says they're closing the border.
Nikki Haley, Trump's remaining Republican challenger, has said her goal is to remain competitive on Super Tuesday. In Virginia's open primary, CBS News exit poll showed most of her supporters identified as either independents or Democrats. 6 in 10 said their vote was mainly against Trump rather than for Haley.
We'll be voting for Joe Biden in the general election, but I put in a vote for Nikki Haley today.
Some Democrats chose not to vote for Biden to protest his handling of the Israel-Hamas war.
I voted uncommitted because I want to send a message that we are tired and we want a ceasefire.
CBS News polling shows President Biden's support among key Democratic groups is not at the same levels as 2020. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Obviously, a lot of data to look over after tonight. President Biden released a statement saying, quote, "Today, millions of voters across the country made their voices heard, showing that they are ready to fight back against Donald Trump's extreme plan to take the U.S. backwards," end quote. Well, Super Tuesday brought Virginia's voters to the polls today. We were in Wise County, where poll workers say they were unsure what to expect for turnout for the presidential primary. So seeing people trickle in all day to cast their ballots was reassuring, but they hope to see more people finding their way to the polls this November.
Get out, research the candidates, see what they have to stand for, and vote based upon your values.
Now, Kentucky's primary election is one of the late ones. It's May 21st. The last day to register to vote in that primary is April 22nd.
We are tracking some wet weather as we close out your Tuesday, and more rain chances are on the way by Wednesday as well. Let's take a live look at First Alert Pinpoint Doppler this evening. And as you can see, some more scattered showers continue, zooming into a few heavier rain pockets in Johnson County, pushing into Lawrence County, also from Martin County at this hour. Now, the good news, no severe weather, but some more off and on rain chances are on the way as we go into this evening. And some more light showers or sprinkles in Rockcastle County, pushing into Jackson County, also close to the Mountain Parkway for Estill Powell, also into Wolfe counties at this hour. Also watching out for this, some areas of dense fog down to 5 miles in Somerset, 7 miles in London, also 5 miles in Hazard. So we could see some pockets of dense fog as you wake up on Wednesday as well. We are tracking some more showers as we go into tonight. Lows are mild in the middle 50s as you wake up on Wednesday, and be sure to pack the rain gear as you walk out the door on Wednesday, as more widespread rain chances are on the way. Temperature is not as warm tomorrow. We top out in the middle to upper 50s, and there are more rain chances on the way by Friday also to start the weekend. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. A Floyd County Schools employee was indicted on rape and sodomy charges. John Martin was charged with rape and sodomy. He remains an employee of the school district. The district released a statement saying, quote, upon first notice of this matter, the district took immediate steps to ensure that students were safe and the employee was placed into a position where he would not be working with or around district students. You can read the full statement on WYMT.com. Governor Andy Beshear today issued his first veto of the legislative session. In Louisville, he vetoed a bill that he says will make it harder for many Kentuckians to access affordable housing. House Bill 18 would prohibit governments from adopting or enforcing ordinances that would prohibit landlords from refusing to rent or lease to a person who is receiving federal housing assistance. Lexington passed a similar measure this month. Democrats have been outspoken against House Bill 18, arguing it could lead to discrimination against vulnerable people who need housing.
We should never make it harder for someone to obtain a roof over their head, a safe place to call home, and that's exactly what this bill tries to do.
Now the bill heads back to the General Assembly, where the Republican supermajority will decide if they want to override the governor's veto. A former UK basketball player is voicing his support for a cause that hits close to home for him. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist spoke in front of Senate members in Frankfort today, showing his support for a bill that would help kids who struggle with stuttering. Senate Bill 111 would help children who stutter get insurance coverage to get help with fixing the issue. Kidd-Gilchrist says he has issues with stuttering, and it means a lot to him to be able to advocate for others who struggle in the same way.
Like, I've been through it, man. I've been through it. I've been hurt. Been sad about stuttering at times and stuff like that.
The bill passed through the Banking and Insurance Committee today in a unanimous vote. It now heads to the full Senate floor. A bill that would require cursive writing proficiency to be taught in elementary schools has passed in the Kentucky Senate. Senate Bill 167 would put the requirement in place starting in the fall of 2025. The bill passed by a vote of 37-0. It now heads to the House for further consideration. And a bill is now headed to the House that deals with school safety. This afternoon, the Senate passed Senate Bill 2. It would allow schools to use veterans, retired troopers, and retired federal agents to patrol schools as guardians.
And I want to reiterate, in no way is the guardian replacing the important role that our school resource officers are doing for our school systems. The guardian does not have arresting authority. They are simply a stopgap measure to help a school district that right now may not be able to provide an SRO, and this would not begin until the 2025-2026 school year.
That bill now heads to the House for a vote. Support Education Excellence in Kentucky, also known as the SEEK formula, was created in the 1990s, more than 30 years ago. Since its inception, it has determined how much funding each school district receives. The goal was to close the statewide equity gap between Kentucky school systems, and Representative Timmy Truitt says 30 years later, there needs to be some changes to the formula in order for Kentucky to be competitive with surrounding states.
When we start losing our teachers, our good Kentucky teachers, to Tennessee and Ohio, that's when we have to do something to stop this problem. And the best way, I'm not going to say the only way, but the best way to do that is to tweak the SEEK formula to where, we are throwing the money that needs to be thrown into education.
Truitt is in the process of putting a work group together. The group would make changes to the formula if approved in the legislature. Louisville firefighter Bryce Carden is being praised as a hero for his daring rescue on the Clark Memorial Bridge on Friday. The video of it, you've probably seen it, went viral, and his story is being shared across the country. We have also learned Carden has an Eastern Kentucky connection as he studied and played baseball at the University of Pikeville. Carden talked to Sean Beatty with our sister station Wave about how crazy the last few days have been.
I'm the guy in the back. I start throwing my harness on. I'm getting my mind right.
Bryce Carden's orders from his captain were simple.
He turns back and he says, hey, it's you, get your mind right. And I said, yes, sir.
It's something they've trained for, but nothing any current firefighter in Louisville has ever seen.
You got to really slow it down, get a mental checklist in your mind of what you need to do to be successful.
On his way down to this semi, dangling off the 2nd Street Bridge, the driver still inside, Carden thought about his checklist. He'd forgotten to grab his knife, but he had another, one he just happened to have been gifted from a training session.
Just a free knife from LG&E.
He was able to cut the driver free from her seatbelt.
Whenever I made contact with her, she was just praising God. She said, thank God, thank God. And I was like, it's awesome I'm here, but we're not done yet. I was like, I need your help.
Carden says he and the driver worked together and prayed together to get her free. Now that he's back up on solid ground, he's experienced somewhat of a newfound fame and is embracing it.
You want to take a picture? Oh, take it together. Here, you want to take one together?
Yeah. Carden's getting noticed. People want to meet him. It's not the first time, though, that he's been a hero. Yeah. Coincidentally, last June, he helped Wave's Don G get out of a trapped elevator. 9 months later, he's happy to give people some positivity during a situation where 2 people are still fighting for their lives.
It's good to have something positive to cling to for everybody, and I think that's why it's kind of blown up so much, because it was a successful rescue, and it was a life-endangering situation. It's just a good feeling.
2 other people in the wreck were sent to the hospital with serious injuries.
Hopefully God watches out for them, and hopefully they heal up and get back to their normal lives, and I'm sure everybody's cheering for them to get better.
In the meantime, Carden's focus is back on work.
We got to be ready to go no matter what and continue to get better.
Carden is finally off shift for the first time since Friday. So what's he doing with his time off? A Kentucky Wildcat fan, Carden tells me the university is hosting his family for their game Wednesday at Rupp Arena. In Louisville, Sean Bowdy, Wave News.
See why vaping is much more dangerous than smoking it.
Plus, we are gloomy and soggy tomorrow. Your Wednesday forecast after this break.